Okay, so moving on to something a little more cheery, shall we say. One of the biggest movies coming out in the next few months is Indiana Jones 5. And we have seen plenty of little things drop, whether it's John Williams with a score here and, or we see pictures or whatever. So, the Hollywood Reporter actually saw some pictures, and there are some pictures out to date of retro Indiana Jones figures. Number one, have you seen these? And number two, what do you think about them?
I got scared for a second because I thought you were gonna spoil the movie, and I was like, "Oh no, David, hold up." Yeah, I saw them. It's interesting because I don't know how familiar you are with the Indiana Jones toy line, but back in the 80s, they had a small toy line. I believe it was Kenner.
It is Kenner, which, by the way, I don't know if you can really see behind me here, okay? Down here, okay, and even try and move up the camera over here, okay? We have some G.I. Joes, and down here we have Return of the Jedi figures.
These are
all...
David, is that a Royal Imperial Guard?
It is.
A vintage one?
No, unfortunately. Now, when I went out and I spent about $200, and I actually went and I spent a good piece of money, and I actually bought these. Now, I will say back in the day that I actually had all the Star Wars action figures, and it kicks me that I didn't save them because, of course, they're worth thousands of dollars today. But so, these are all. I got the Royal Imperial Guard. Oh, absolutely. I got the Royal Imperial Guard over there. Admiral Akbar, and I got the Han Solo when he's on Endor.
Wow.
And then over here, those were all done by Kenner.
Yeah.
Then up here we got the whole G.I. Joe, the leadership. But I do actually have two other ones. But so I do it. Anyways, the point is, guys, that Kenner is the distributor here, and they're making these action figures. And Kenner is actually, it's Hasbro.
Yes,
it's Hasbro who's making them, and then Kenner is the one that's the main thing. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Back in the 80s, they had Kenner make a line for. I believe it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it was only Raiders of the Lost Ark because it was a very short-lived line. It didn't exactly take off because what happened was I think a lot of young kids didn't find an archaeologist to be as exciting as a stormtrooper or a Jedi or a Sith Lord. And
makes sense.
That really, I think, made them have to cancel the line, and I think those figures are worth quite a lot today. But then it was 2008. It took them nearly about 30 years to try and come out with another line of Indiana Jones figures. And this is my childhood right here, because this is when Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out. And what happened was Hasbro came up with a brilliant line of action figures that were basically 3 3/4 inch figures, just like the originals, but they had more articulation. And they made the first ever Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade figures. And they made every character, David. Every character. From Dr. Henry Jones or Professor Henry Jones to Short Round to all of the villains, the knight at the end. and they all came with an artifact. So one would come with the Holy Grail. One would come with
right, and a little accessory.
like some, they would have different things, and they made vehicles, and they even made a playset for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it was actually a repainted, remodeled playset from Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, but it was like in this Aztec type architecture. And I love these toys. I got a couple of them. I didn't get them all because the later ones were actually quite hard to find. And I didn't get the later ones until I went to Big Lots and they started to sell those. And I got myself a Sean Connery action figure, which is one of my prized collections. And anyway, so those figures were in 2008, and they stopped making them after that. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull did not do well. It was not a, hit, shall we say, and it kind of killed the franchise. Like, there was nothing Indiana Jones related. No TV shows, rarely any video games after 2008. And now with the new release of Indiana Jones 5 coming out next year, Hasbro has decided to renew the line, rebrand the license, and now they are doing two things. They are doing a 6-inch series of figures called the Adventure Collection, or Adventure Series, and they will feature like all the characters, and this is very similar to what Hasbro's been doing with Star Wars and their Black Series, and Marvel and their Marvel Legends. These are premium collector's figures that have facial sculpts that look just like the actors, scanning their faces and projecting them onto the figures. And they have the accessories and all the good stuff you'd expect. But then they also have what you were alluding to, the retro line, which is 3 3/4 inch figures, which are actually like literally the same figures from back in the 80s that Kenner made. And they're repackaging them and selling them out to kids today. And they actually, Hasbro, this isn't the first time they've done this. They've actually been doing this for quite a number of years with the Star Wars collection. And I actually have a few myself. I actually bought all of their retro figures for A New Hope. And I got, I think, a Han Solo figure from Bespin. And I got like a whole bunch of their figures that I think it's really cool to see kids be able to play with them. I wish they like re-release all of the old vehicles and playsets. Maybe they will. We never know. But they really are starting to get the Indiana Jones fever going. And they will release next year just in time for the movie. And we will surely have figures from the next Indiana Jones movie out next year too. So I'm very excited. I don't know, how do you feel about these?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I will definitely be picking myself up when these hit the stores. I think that I'll definitely be picking myself up some of these because it's just one of those things. I used to have all of the G.I. Joes and Transformers, everything else, but Indiana Jones was something I never had. So I think I think I'm going to go and
Did you have Star Wars figures when you were little?
Oh, I had all. Oh my God, Kyle!
Did you?
I had that Masters of the Universe. Those were the two big things. I had Stake Mountain. I had Battle Cat. I had He-Man. I had Prince Adam. I had a lot of stuff. I only wish I would have kept it. I'd have been in retirement mode today. But seriously, in all honesty, I will be picking myself up some of these because 20 years from now, when we're talking about this, and be like, oh, remember when that Indiana Jones came out? And, oh, I got these figures, this, and this. These are going to be like those figures. The original 1977, 1978, figures from Kenner that you could go on and like a Darth Vader, and I'm just making a number up, it's like $500 if it's in its original packaging. because this is going to be, remember, you got to remember something. The first and last of whatever it is, especially movies, this is going to be the last one that Harrison Ford is doing. So within, I would say, 5 to 10 years, and I'm not I'm not a prophet here, but what I'll say is this: these are going to go through the roof. So let me put it to you like this. It's like when you get a card from a sports, LeBron James card, let's say. Let's make a player. But, or Wayne Gretzky or whoever. There's 3 times when a player's card, or Michael Jordan. There's 3 times when a player's card goes up in value. Okay? Number 1, when they're a rookie, especially if they're extremely good. Okay? Number 2, when they get their achievements or their first championships. Okay? And when they retire. And number 3, when they die. Because it's supply and demand. So I think what you're going to see is in 20 years, I think you're going to see these things be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Because this is the last one. It's not like he's coming back to make another one. So like, oh, I'll just pick it up then. No, this is the last one. So, yeah, it looks...
I will say, though, that it is nice to see them still making these figures for kids to have, because it's just, I think that toys are one of the most important things for kids, especially.
Oh, of course they are. Because you just took the words right out of my mouth.
And
you just took the words right out of my mouth.
Unfortunately, we have, I think, a lot of kids growing up now that just aren't into toys. We don't have Toys R Us anymore. I think it is somewhat going to come back by this winter in like the form of like a Macy's, but we don't have Toys R Us back.
I remember Toys R Us growing up.
Oh man, it was like my home away from home. Like nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing was more exciting than going into a Toys R Us store, especially as a child. Like, and for me, like seeing all kids growing up now, and they just have Fortnite and they have all these video games. It is not the same. And I tell you, like, unfortunately, I think the Star Wars toy brand is rapidly dying. And a lot of that has to do, I think you can blame it on the studios that want to keep their secrets of these projects, which therefore lends all of these toys never coming out in time for a movie or a TV.
Because here's the thing with marketing.
Yeah.
If you get one toy design or one doll or one, action figure that comes out and it comes out early, let's say, and you go, oh, I know what's going to happen, it's all over. It ruins it.
Yeah.
And so that one little piece, that one little thread could just destroy a whole thing. So I totally understand what you mean.
More and more movies are doing that now where, look at Spider-Man No Way Home, where they are literally making characters show up at the end of the film a huge secret, and therefore not telling people about them. And nothing is more depressing, David, than the toys for Spider-Man No Way Home. Because if you look at the toys for Spider-Man No Way Home, do you want to know what toys they made for Spider-Man No Way Home?
Probably nothing.
They made Spider-Man, Tom Holland, Doctor Strange, and J. Jonah Jameson. No Dr. Octopus, no Lizard, no Green Goblin, no Sandman, no Garfield Spider-Man, no Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, no Electro.
Unreal.
None of the villains of the film. Nor did they make the other Spider-Man. And it's like, what are kids supposed to play with here?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so sad. So I'm so happy to see, like, Indiana Jones. An old property. Let's face it, Indiana Jones, a lot of young kids don't even know who Indiana Jones is now. And they are confident enough to put the toys out in stores. It's not for kids. The toys for Indiana Jones are mostly, I think, directed towards us, towards, like, the adult collectors. But it is still nice to see them being released, so...
Definitely. What do you guys think? Are you going to go get some of these Indiana Jones figures? I know I am. I know Kyle is. But what do you guys think about it? did you play with action figures when you grew up? Which action figures did you play with? Leave us your comments and your thoughts down in the comments below.